Welcome to Realtors in Faith, where faith and entrepreneurship come together. In today's video, we're going to be talking about dreams, and specifically, be careful and be aware of who you tell your dreams to. Also, towards the end of the video, we're going to be talking about just some channel updates that I have for you guys and a free gift. So you're definitely going to want to stay until the end so that you can get that free gift and learn about what that free gift is. But anyways, let's get started with this video. So when I'm talking about dreams, I'm specifically talking about those desires and that vision that's been planted in you by God, deep in your heart. An example of this is Martin Luther King Jr., right? His speech was actually called "I Have a Dream" because he had a dream, he had a vision that one day little girls and little boys, black and white people would come together, right? Would be united. There would be no more division. Because as you know, at that time, there was a lot of segregation and that wasn't allowed.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
Dreams can be very powerful. This isn't the case all the time, but a lot of the big desires and the dreams and the visions that you have do come from God, and they are planted in you. They're like little seeds that have been planted in you. Now, these seeds could be planted in good soil or bad soil. And if it's planted in bad soil, then it's not ever going to flourish and come into fruition. Like your dream or your vision may never come to pass if it's not put into good soil. So what exactly do I mean by good soil and bad soil? We must be very cautious with who we share our dreams with, because a lot of the times, if you share it with the wrong person, they can actually discourage you from pursuing that dream and pursuing that vision, which means that that seed just got planted into bad soil, right? It's not going to flourish because you got discouraged. You're not even going to go after it. Another person's encouragement or discouragement can literally make the difference of whether or not that seed flourishes and grows. If you don't believe this to be true, well, I have some biblical stories for you as examples of this. So let's get straight into it. The first example we're going to use is Joseph. Okay, Joseph was a dreamer, but his dreams were not just like fragments of imagination. They were actually like divine revelation from God. When he shared his dream with his brothers, they became envious of him, and then they actually end up selling him to slavery, which caused a huge detour that lasted years. It's Genesis 37 to 50. We're just going to read a little bit of it, but that is the full story if you want to get the full context. Now Joseph had a dream, and he repeated it to his brothers, who then hated him more than ever. "Listen," he said, "to the dream I had. We were binding sheaves in the field when my chef suddenly rose and stood upright. And then your chefs gathered around and bowed to my chef. So you want to be king over us," his brothers retorted. "You want to lord it over us." And they hated him even more on account of his dreams and of what he said. He had another dream which he recounted to his brothers. "Look, I have had another dream," he said. "There were the sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowing down to me." He told his father and brothers, and his father scolded him. "A fine dream to have," he said to him. "Are all of us, then myself, your mother, and your brothers, to come and bow to the ground before you?" His brothers held it against him, but his father pondered the matter. So you can see why his brothers were envious. But at the end of the day, guys, you need to be careful with who you share your dreams and your vision with, because you don't know what the consequence is of that. So let's look at some other examples in the Bible. Let's start by looking at Numbers 13, 31, and 32. "But the men who had gone up with him said, 'We can't attack those people. They are stronger than we are.' And they spread among the Israelites a bad report about the land that they had explored. They said, 'The land we explored devours those living in it. All the people we saw there are of great size.'" As you guys know, the Israelites had a promise from God, right? Which was to get to the promised land after they were rescued from Egypt. Before they were going to go take over this land, Moses had sent these men to go spy it out, check it out, and come back with a report of what they saw. So what ended up happening is that they came back with a bad report, which put a lot of fear into all of the community. So these people lost their dream, right? Their promise to reach the promised land through discouraging words, which made them rebel against God. This is why our words are so important, and discouraging words versus encouraging words can make all of the difference. Who are the people in your life who are encouraging you or discouraging you with their words? And be very cautious of who you share your dreams with. I just want to be clear, the lesson here is not to keep everything in and keep everything to yourself and make sure everything's a secret. That's not necessarily what I'm saying here. What I am saying is you need to use discernment. Let's look at Ecclesiastes 3:7. A time for tearing, a time for sowing, a time for keeping silent, a time for speaking. So just a little reminder there. There is a time to speak and a time to be silent. So we need to use our discernment to know when to do both. Not everybody will understand or support your dreams or your visions that you have, right? And that's okay. But we have to be cautious with who we share those dreams with. Maybe it's intentional, maybe it's not intentional, but at the end of the day, you need to protect your God-given dreams and visions, especially during the beginning stages. Like when you feel like God is really showing you a pathway that He wants you to take, and it's something that is scary, it's something that you're just like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, and I don't know what people are going to think, and this and that. A lot of times, that beginning stage, that's when you're the most vulnerable and when your dream is the most vulnerable. That seed has just been planted, and it takes time for that to grow. So if any kind of discouragement happens at that early stage, when you're the most vulnerable, that's when you're very likely that seed, can get destroyed and not grow. Honestly, sometimes the wisest thing you can do is simply just keeping it between you and God, especially at the beginning. Just nourish it in prayer and patience and trust in God. One thing I do suggest is getting into community, getting around people who are encouraging you and will encourage you in your dreams. I know that, sometimes God does place people in your life to uplift you and to encourage you, to push you towards what He has for you in your life. Trust me, entrepreneurship is lonely a lot of the times, and a lot of times the people closest to you are not necessarily going to support you. But I know in my life, I had one person who was encouraging me, who always uplifted me, who just always believed in me and believed in my dreams. And that was huge for me. So even just finding that one person who can uplift you, who can encourage you on this journey can make all the difference. So I do highly recommend, looking for other like-minded people like yourself. When seeking out individuals, you want people who encourage your dreams, right? Who push you to grow and to be better, who can stand with you in prayer and action and bring you closer to God, right? These are the kind of things that you want to look for individuals to link up with. So that's going to be it for the topic on be aware of who you share your dreams with. I hope you guys found that helpful. So now let's get into the channel updates that I wanted to tell you about. So first things first is I felt really led to start a podcast. I was thinking about doing some interviewing other people, mostly realtors, but not just limited to realtors, but any kind of faith-based entrepreneur, and just kind of get their input of how they integrate faith and business. So it'd be really interesting to hear what other people do, what their daily routines look like, things of that nature. Now, the podcast is still something that I'm preparing for and still praying about and seeing what is the exact direction that God wants with this podcast, but it will be called Realtors in Faith. I am planning to start it soon. I'm just trying to see how I'm going to go about doing all of that, especially with the interviews and everything like that. And now time for the big surprise. So I've been working on this product for a while now, and selfishly, this is something that I've been wanting for myself, but I also wanted to share it with all of you. I don't know if you guys are like me, but I love planners and digital planners and being organized and all of that good stuff. So I actually created a digital planner that is for entrepreneurs, but specifically faith-based entrepreneurs. So This planner is a combination of everything you would need as an entrepreneur. Like there's like a habit tracker, goal tracker, of course, like the regular things that you would see in a planner. So I'm actually going to show you guys a little bit of the planner so that you guys can see what it looks like. But I've been working on this for months now and it's finally finished. And I'm going to actually be providing this completely for free for you guys for this year. So 2023, we still have 3 more months, right? The last quarter pretty much. It's completely free down in the description box. You guys can click on that link to get your free copy of the 2023 Partner with God Planner. All right, so this is the cover pretty much. This has the full year. I have the word of the year at the bottom, Bible verse of the year. So that's something that you could just write in. So of course, if you don't already know, you would just click right here at the top. If you want to click on the clickable links, okay? And then if you want to actually write, you just click on that button again, and then you're able to actually write in whatever it is, right? So let's say I want to put in the word of the year, and the word of the year is love. All right, let's just say, this is just an example, guys. So yeah, that's exactly how you would do it. You could actually write in here. If you guys already, I use GoodNotes, but you can use any kind of app that you want, but I'm using this in GoodNotes. So you can literally just download the PDF into your GoodNotes app and boom, there you go. That's how you get it. So I'm just going to erase this word right now. Okay, so I'm going to click at the top again so that we could click on the clickable links. So as you can see here on the side, we have all the months, right? The year is the page that we're on right now. Then you have all the different months. And then at the bottom, there's the overview page. So let's click on the first month first so that you guys can see what it looks like. So as you guys can see, this is just like a typical month. What's a little bit different here is you have a prayer at the top. You have a good quote at the bottom. I love these quotes. And then as you can see, the dates are a little different because instead of Sunday, I have the Lord's Day. I thought that was really cute and different. And then as you can see, we have prayer hands to remind you to go to Mass, go to church on Sundays. And yeah, so we have the typical holidays here. And then if there is any Christian specific holidays, you'll see like an icon next to it. So I just went to April so that you guys can see for Easter. So they'll have like a different icon, right? And so the way that it works, guys, is there's a few buttons throughout this that you can click on and get access to. So if you click on the week, so there's week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4 for every month, right? So let's just click on week 1 so you guys can see it. It's going to bring you to like a weekly calendar. It's a place where you can really get organized and really schedule out your day, which I love to do. So basically, the way how I did it is that you have a Bible verse at the top for every week to like reflect on. And then at the beginning of every day, you see a priority list. So you should always kind of write, what are the top 3 things that I need to do today? Like the most important things, right? So that stays in the forefront of your mind because there's always like 1 to 2 to 3 things that we need to get done in a day that literally make all the difference if that day was a good day or a bad day in terms of like production for work. So that's why I have that there. Then you have the time, right? So you can actually put in like whatever you have throughout the day in these time stamps, basically. And then at the bottom, it's just a quick reminder to read your Bible and pray, right? So you can kind of just check that off that you read your Bible today and that you prayed today. So I like that. And then at the end of the week, I have something called the weekly review. So you just click at that at the top. So let's say your week is done. You're just going to click at the top at your weekly review. And there's a habit tracker on one side, as you can see. So you're just going to write your habits on one side. And then these are the days of the week. So you just kind of click them off. And I always suggest having a reward or a punishment for the week because that always encourages you, kind of keeps you accountable to your new habits or the habits that you're trying to keep. And then on the right hand side, as you can see, we have the end of the week reflection. So there's just some basic questions like what worked this week? What didn't work this week? What can I improve on for next week? These are questions that you should be asking yourself, especially as a business owner, right? And then I thought this was really good because as a faith-based entrepreneur, we're going to be faced with a lot of, like ethnical kind of questions. So whenever you have to make a decision and you're kind of like, oh, this is a tough decision, I don't know what to do, just come over here. I have a decision-making checklist for you here. Go through these questions. This is going to help you be in alignment with God and God's will by asking yourself these questions. That's why I put them here, okay? And then if you want to go to the main habit tracker, you would just click on the button Habit Tracker up here. And then this is the one that's tracking it for the year. So as you can see, it has your habits and then January all through December. And it's just to make sure that you're on top of your habits. Now, on the other side, right, the right side, as you can see, you're actually going to break it down, right? So for this planner, it's not just about business, right? I want to make sure that people understand that it's important to have a balanced life and we need to look at all aspects of our life, not just business. Because as an entrepreneur, sometimes we can get distracted just by our business, right? And think that like, that's the only thing, but that's not the only thing. Okay, there's a lot of things, right? So when you break it down, we have spiritual habits, health habits, relationship habits, business habits, financial habits, and then just life experience habits. So that's kind of how I broke it down so that you could get clear on your goals. Why are you doing this new habit? Why do you have this goal, right? What is the action steps you need to take? Things of that nature. Now let's go back to the month. Let me just click on any random month. It doesn't really matter. Another thing is there's a monthly review. So at the end of the month, you can also have a monthly review. So just click on the monthly review. And as you can see, it has your goals, your actual business goal, like any kind of goals that you have, right? So the reason why I have these icons here on the side, guys, is because the top is like spiritual goals, then family goals, right? Health goals, business goals, financial goals, life goals. That's kind of how I have it broken down because remember, we're trying to have a balanced life here, right? We need to have goals for all aspects of our life, not just our business. So here it just kind of breaks it down to your goals, your quarterly goals, what you need to do this month. Are you improving? Yes or no? How can I improve for the next time? On the other side is just some questions that you guys, some prompts that I wrote for you guys to actually start reflecting on your month to see how you can improve for next month, right? So that is that. Now, if you actually go to overview, there's a whole bunch of extra stuff in overview. These things are things that I love and I use all the time. So number one is the big vision. It's very simple, guys. It's important to have your vision and your mission statement and your core values written down and somewhere where you can look at every day because it's super important, right? And so today, it's funny because we're talking about dreams and visions, but it's important to actually write it down. And so that's what this is all about. So let's go back to overview. The next thing is meetings with God. So I've talked about this before on one of my other videos, but I do have meetings with God. And so this is kind of just a prompt to help you do that, right? So that's that. Next is Bible study. So whenever I am studying the Bible, I actually use this now, but just writing down like the key scripture that sticks out to you today, some words that stick out to you, or maybe words you don't know to kind of extend your vocabulary. You know, you should write down the definitions of those words. So right there. Then on this side is the lessons, right? How can you apply this to your life? Some prayer requests at the bottom based off of this Bible study that you just did, and then some steps that you can take right away. So if you feel like God is speaking to you, write it down and take action on what he's telling you to do. So that is the Bible study. Let's go back to the overview. Then there is the daily journal. Oh, I actually wrote something in here. Oh yeah, it was for the video. You have your morning routine, your evening routine. If you guys have one, you guys can write it down and kind of check it off. And then you can start your day with, something that you're grateful for, that kind of thing. And then there's an evening review. Okay, I love this. It basically asks you 2 questions. What was the best part of your day? What lesson did you learn? So that way you are reflecting on your day. And then there is a fruits of the spirit checklist. Okay, I love this. And this is something that I created because I wanted it. But basically, these are questions that you can ask yourself so you could kind of analyze, like, were you showing fruits of the spirit today or not? And if not, it's okay, but how can you improve for next time, So I think it's important to do these kind of like self-reflecting like prompts and journals and all this stuff. It's helped me a lot, so that's why I created this. Let's go back. Then we have the brain dump. This is how I use the brain dump, is that like I'll start to think about 1,000 things I need to do. I'll just write them all down. That way it's not stuck in my head floating around. I just write it all down. And then when I'm planning for the next day, what I'll do is I'll actually put it into these categories. So what is urgent, what's important, what's not important, and what's not urgent. That way I know what is the priority this list needs to be in. So I know exactly what I need to do the next day, but I know exactly the order that I need to do it based off of the importance, right? So that's what I use the brain dump for. You can use something like that similar if you want. The habit tracker I already showed you. So that's what the habit tracker is, because you can access it from the overview as well. And then the big goals. So there's a little brain dump section for the big goals, so that if you've never done this exercise before, I want you just to write down like every single vision that you have for yourself or for your life, any kind of desire that you have. And then I'm going to have you guys do this little exercise because I think it's important. But basically just writing down the first question, for example, is what possible obstacles can lead you to make these desires idols? Because one thing we never want to do is make our desires idols, right? We have to make sure that we're always putting God first. That's why the other question is, what can I do to make God first in my life, right? So I think it's very important to do this little exercise. I don't know. I liked it, so I included it. If you guys like it, go ahead and do it, right? And then there's a little prayer there for you guys. So then there's a goal tracker that you could just click on right at the bottom there. And that's where you can actually break it down to quarterly, monthly, weekly actions, and down to daily actions. I think that's important because at the end of the day, guys, if you're not doing this, if you're not breaking down your goals, your big goals into smaller, more manageable goals, and then down to like, what are my daily actions, then you're actually not going to see results, right? So I think that's everything. Let's just make sure. Yeah, I really enjoyed creating this and using it. I use it myself. And so I hope you guys also enjoy it. The planner for 2023 is completely free. I want you guys to use it. Let me know what your feedback is. I would love to hear your feedback. If there's anything about the planner that you would like to change or improve upon, let me know, because I will be coming out with a new one for 2024. Those are all the announcements. I hope you guys are excited about the podcast. I know I'm excited about it. And I'm also excited about this planner. I hope you guys love it as much as I love it. I use it literally every day, and hopefully you guys love it too. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think about the planner, how I can improve on it, and things of that nature. So if you found today's video valuable, please share it with a friend, and you're definitely going to want to watch this video next. And until next time, guys, I hope you guys all have an amazing day, and God bless.